Welcome, gather round. Tonight's tale is not for the faint of heart. It's a story that lurks in the shadows of our everyday lives, a story that whispers our deepest fears. Hush now, are you ready? Well, let's find out, shall we?
I started jogging at night after my husband, Tom, died suddenly. It wasn't because I liked the night or anything, it was because the nights were the hardest. I couldn't sleep, and the silence in the house was unbearable. So, I thought, maybe running would help clear my mind, tire me out, make it easier to forget for a few hours. At first, it did help. The cool air, the empty streets, the rhythm of my footsteps on the pavement, it was almost soothing. But then, one night, I noticed something strange. I was a few blocks from my house when I felt it, that feeling you get when someone is watching you. I glanced over my shoulder, but there was no one there. Just shadows and streetlights. I shook it off, thinking I was being paranoid. The next night, it happened again. I was running my usual route, lost in thought, when I felt it, a prickling on the back of my neck. This time, I looked back quickly, and I saw a figure. It was just a glimpse, someone standing under a street lamp a few yards back. I couldn't see their face, but they were there, watching me. My heart pounded, and I sped up, my mind racing with possibilities. Maybe it was just another jogger, I told myself. Maybe someone out for a late-night walk. But the figure was there the next night too. And the night after that. Always at a distance, always watching. I tried changing my route, hoping to lose whoever it was. But no matter where I went, the figure was always there. I didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't want to sound crazy. But the fear was growing, gnawing at me. One night, the moon was full, and its light made everything look eerie, almost unreal. I was about a mile from home when I saw the figure again, clearer this time. They were standing in the middle of the street, not moving. I stopped running and stared. My breath was coming in short, ragged gasps, partly from the run, partly from fear. That's when I noticed something that made my blood run cold. The figure was wearing Tom's clothes. His favorite jacket, the one with the tear on the sleeve. The same jeans he had on the night he died. My heart skipped a beat. It couldn't be. Tom was dead. I had seen his body. I started running again, faster than ever, my mind a whirl of confusion and terror. When I got home, I locked all the doors and windows, trembling as I tried to calm down. Who could it be? Why were they wearing Tom's clothes? I barely slept that night, my mind plagued by nightmares and the memory of that figure. The next day, I decided to do something I hadn't done since Tom died. I went through his things. His clothes, his personal items. Everything was there, exactly as he had left it. But the jacket, the jeans, they were missing. Someone had taken them. Someone who knew us. Someone who wanted to scare me. I didn't go jogging that night. Instead, I stayed home, peeking through the curtains every few minutes, expecting to see the figure standing outside. But the street was empty. It was the same the next night, and the next. Whoever it was, they didn't show up again. I thought maybe it was over. Maybe they had gotten bored or scared off. But I was wrong. A week later, I decided to go for a run again, thinking the exercise might help clear my mind. I took a different route, hoping to avoid the figure. But about halfway through, I saw them again, standing under a street lamp, just like before. My heart pounded in my chest as I slowed down, squinting to see more clearly. This time, I was determined to confront them. I couldn't live in fear forever. I walked towards the figure, my hands shaking, my breath coming in short gasps. As I got closer, I could see their face, or rather, the lack of it. They were wearing a hood, pulled low over their head, casting their features in shadow. "Who are you?" I demanded, my voice trembling. "Why are you following me?" The figure didn't move. Didn't speak. They just stood there, silent and still. I took another step closer, my fear turning into anger. "Answer me!" I shouted. Slowly, almost reluctantly, the figure raised their head. And that's when I saw it. The eyes. They were Tom's eyes. The same blue, the same intensity. My heart stopped. It couldn't be. It was impossible. "Tom?" I whispered, my voice barely audible. But as I took another step closer, the figure turned and ran. I stood there, stunned, for what felt like an eternity. When I finally gathered my wits, I ran after them. I followed the figure through the streets, my mind racing with questions. Was it really Tom? Had he somehow survived? I chased them into a park, the darkness making it hard to see. I was about to give up when I heard a noise, a rustling in the bushes. I approached slowly, my heart in my throat. As I pushed the branches aside, I saw the figure huddled on the ground, their back to me. "Tom?" I said again, my voice shaky. The figure turned, and I finally saw their face. It wasn't Tom. It was a man, someone I didn't recognize. He was wearing Tom's clothes, but he wasn't Tom. My heart sank, confusion and fear mixing in my chest. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The man didn't answer. Instead, he lunged at me, knocking me to the ground. We struggled, my mind a whirl of fear and confusion. Somehow, I managed to push him off and run. I didn't stop until I was home, my hands shaking as I locked the door behind me. I called the police, but they didn't find anyone. They said it was probably a prank, some sick joke. But I knew better. Someone had been following me, wearing my husband's clothes, trying to scare me. And they had succeeded. For weeks, I lived in fear, jumping at every shadow, every unexpected sound. I didn't go jogging anymore. I barely left the house. But whoever it was, they didn't come back. Eventually, life started to return to normal. The fear faded, and I began to move on. But the memory of that figure, those eyes, it never left me. I never found out who it was, or why they did it. But one thing is certain. There are some things in this world that we are not meant to understand. And sometimes, the dead don't rest as peacefully as we'd like to believe.
So, remember this tale, my friends. The next time you feel like someone is watching you, you might just be right. And sometimes, the truth is more terrifying than any ghost story. Sleep tight, and remember, be careful at night. Hush.